Uplink. Planetary history. Page 3 of 01116. Help. 11111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111111 I'm dead for sure. Input error, said the computer, sounding quite calm. Daireen's heart leaped. Are you busted? She cried. Syntax error 24, said the computer. Rephrase for... You can take your syntax errors and... Never mind, Daireen said. What's wrong with you? Diagnostic. External input, said the computer. Non-typical. What is it, some kind of broadcast? Negative. Local. It happened right after it linked to the geothermal power, Daireen thought. Check your link to the planet, she said. Affirmative. Positive identification. External input. Planetary source. Are there people here? Daireen said, looking around hurriedly. Negative. The computer's screen kept filling up with ones, clearing itself, filling with ones again. She held still and forced herself to take a deep breath, and another. The computer wasn't broken. Nothing horrible had happened. Yet. Can you get rid of all those ones? She said to the computer. Affirmative. The screen steadied down to the last page she had been looking at. Daireen stared at it. This unique structure becomes more interesting when considering the physical nature of the layering. Some 92% of the layers consist of chemically pure silicon, predisposing the aggregate to electroconductive activity in the presence of light or under certain other conditions. This effect is likely to be enhanced in some areas by the tendency of silicon to superconduct at surface temperatures below 200 degrees K. There is also a possibility that semi-organic life of a monocellular nature will have arisen in symbiosis either with the silicon layers or their associated doping layers, producing... Daireen sat there and began to tremble. It's the planet, she thought. Silicon, and trace elements put down in layers, and cold to make it semiconduct. It's the planet, she shouted at the computer. This whole flat part here is one big semiconductor chip, a computer chip. It's alive. Send it something. Send it some ones. The computer flickered through several menu screens and began filling with ones again. Daireen rolled from her sitting position into a kneeling one, rocking back and forth with anxiety and delight. She had to be right. She had to. One huge chip, like a computer motherboard 1,000 miles square. And some kind of small, one-celled, if that was the right word, one-celled organism living with it. Something silicon-based that could etch pathways in it. Pathways that electricity could run along, that data could be stored in. How many years has this chip been laying itself down in the silence, she wondered. Volcanoes erupting chemically pure silicon and trace elements that glazed themselves into vast reaches of chip surface as soon as they touched the planet. And farther down, in the molten warmth of the planet's own geothermal heat, the little silicon-based bacteria that had wound themselves together out of some kind of analog to DNA. Maybe they were more like amoebas than bacteria now, etching their way along through the layers of silicon and cadmium and other elements, getting their food, their energy, from breaking the compound's chemical bonds, the same way carbon-based life gets it from breaking down complex proteins into simpler ones. It was likely enough. She would check it with the manual. But for now, the result of this weird bit of evolution was all that really mattered. The chip was awake. With this much surface area, endless thousands of square miles, all full of energy and connections and interconnections, millions of times more connections than there were in a human brain, how could it not have woken up? But there was no way that she could see for it to get data, no way for it to contact the outside world. It was trapped. The ones, the basic binary code for on, used by all computers from the simplest to the most complex, were a scream for help, a sudden realization that something else existed in the world and a crying out to it. Even as she looked down at the screen and watched what the computer was doing, the stream of ones became a little less frantic. 111111111, said her own machine. 111111111, said the planet. Give it an arithmetic series, Dayreen whispered. 1, said her computer. 111111 1111 11111. 1 11 111 1111 11111. Try a geometric. 1 11 1111 11111111. 1 11 1111 11111111. Oh, it's got it, Dayreen said, bouncing and still hugging herself. I think. It's hard to tell if it's just repeating. Try a square series. 11 1111 111 111 111 111. It had replied with a cube series. It knew. It knew. Can you teach it binary? Dayreen said, breathless. Affirmative. 1, 10, 11, 100, 101. Things started to move fast, the screen filling with characters, clearing itself, filling again as the computers counted at each other. Dayreen was far gone in wonder and confusion. What to teach it next? It was like trying to communicate with someone who had been locked in a dark, soundless box all his life. Is it taking the data? Affirmative. Writing to permanent memory. Dayreen nodded, thinking hard. Apparently, the huge chip was engraving the binary code permanently into itself. That would include codes for letters and numbers as well. But what good's that going to do? It doesn't have any experiences to make words out of. No reason to put letters together to make the words in the first place. It was like it had been for Helen Keller, Dayreen thought, but at least Helen had had the senses of touch and taste so that she could feel the water poured into her hand while her teacher drummed the touch code for water into it. It has no senses. If it did... Can you hook it into your sensors? She said to the computer. The computer hesitated. It had never done such a thing before, and when it spoke again, its syntax was peculiar, more fluid than she was used to. High probability of causing damage to the corresponding computer due to too great a level of complexity, it said. Dayreen breathed out, annoyed, but had to agree. Anything able to sense events happening 40 trillion miles away, no matter how it managed it, was certainly too complex to hook directly to this poor creature right now. And another thought occurred to her, and her heart beat very fast. Not sensors, then. Senses. Can you hook me to it? She said. This time, the hesitation was even longer, and Dayreen stared at the computer, half expecting it to make an expression at her. It didn't, but the speech of its response was slow. Affirmative, it said. Triple confirmation of intent required. I tell you 3 times, Dayreen said. Hook it to me. Tell me what to do. It has to get some better idea of what's going on out here or it'll go crazy. Direct physical contact with surface, the computer said. It sounded reluctant. Dayreen dusted her hands off and put them flat on the glassy ground. She was about to open her mouth to tell the computer to go ahead, do what it was going to, but she never got the chance. The instantaneous jolt went right through her with exactly the same painless grabbing and shaking she had felt when she was 7 and had put a bobby pin in the electric socket. She convulsed all over. Her head jerked up and snapped back, and she froze, unable even to blink, staring up into the golden-veiled blaze of the barred spiral, staring at it till each slight twitch of her eyes left jittering purple-green after-images to the right and left of it. And somewhere inside her, as if it were another mind speaking, she could hear her computer crying, 11001-001, 11001-001, at the frantic silence that listened. Light, light, light. And the reply, she heard that too. a long, crazed string of binary that made no sense to her but needed to make none. Joy. It was simply joy. Joy at discovering meaning. Joy so intense that all her muscles jumped in reaction, breaking her out of the connection and flinging her face down on the glazed ground. The connection reestablished itself, and Dayrene's mind fell down into turmoil. She couldn't think straight. Caught between the two computers, for under the swift tutelage of her own, the great glassy plane was now beginning truly to function as one, she felt the contents of her brain being twinned, and the extra copy dumped out into endless empty memory and stored in a rush of images, ideas, occurrences, communications, theories, and raw sensations. She knew it took only a short time, but it seemed to go on forever, and all her senses throbbed like aching teeth at being desperately and delightedly used and used and used again to sense this moment, this ever-changing now. Dayrene thought she would never perceive anything as completely again as she was seeing and feeling the green and gold-shaded piece of silicon aggregate she lay on, with the 4 crumbs from her sandwich lying half an inch from her eye. She felt sure she would be able to describe the shape of those crumbs and the precise pattern of the dappling in the silicon on her deathbed, if she survived this to have one. Finally, it stopped. Groaning softly, Dayrene levered herself up and stared around her. The computer was sitting there innocently, its screen showing the main manual menu. "How is it?" Dayrene said, and then sighed and got ready to rephrase herself. "Considerably augmented," said the computer. Dayrene stared at it. "Is it just me," she said, "or do you sound smarter than you have been?" "That calls for a value judgment," said the computer. Dayrene opened her mouth, then closed it again. "I guess it does," she said. "You weren't just acting as conduit all through that, were you? You expanded your syntax to include mine." "You got it," said the computer. Dayrene took a moment to sit up. Before this, she'd thought she would love having the computer be a little more flexible. Now she was having second thoughts. "How's our friend doing?" "Assimilating the new data and self-programming. Its present running state has analogs to trance or dream states in humans." Dayrene instantly wished it hadn't said that. What time was it at home? How long had she been running? How long had that last longest jump taken, if it had in fact taken any time at all? All she knew was that she was deadly tired. "Update," said the computer. "It is requesting more data." "On what?" "No specific request. It simply desires more." "I'm fresh out," Dayrene said, and yawned. Then she looked at the computer again. "No, I'm not. Give it what you've got." "Repeat and clarify?" said the computer, sounding slightly unnerved. "Give it what you've got. All the information about planets and species and history and all the rest of it. Give it the magic." The computer said nothing. Dayrene sat up straight. "Go on," she said. No reply. "Is there some rule that says you shouldn't?" "Yes," said the computer slowly. "But this edition of the software contains the authorization override function." "Good," Dayrene said, none too sure of what this meant, except that it sounded promising. "I'm overriding. Give it what you've got." The screen lit up with a block of text, in binary, quite small and neat, and Dayrene immediately thought of the oath in Nita's manual. The screen blanked, then filled with another brief stream of binary. That blanked in turn, and screenful after screenful of ones and zeros followed, each flickering out of existence almost as quickly as it appeared. Dayrene got up and stretched and walked back and forth for a few minutes to work the kinks out of her muscles. She ached all over, as she had after the bobby pin incident, and her stomach growled at her again. A bologna sandwich and a half was not enough to satisfy her after the kind of day she had had, if it was even the same day. "At least I have a while before the BEMs show up," she thought. "Maybe our new friend here can be of some kind of help."